Hello everyone, once again welcome to my channel. So in today's video I want to be highlighting on the common mistakes that soap makers do when making soap. That's the purpose of this video. The common mistakes soap makers do and how to avoid those mistakes. So over here is my sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate is actually one of the additives they use in soap making. Now, additives are those extra ingredients soap makers add to their soap in order to increase the quantity of their soap. But these additives have their specific measurement. If you go beyond the required measurement, you will end up having issues with your soap production. And over here, I have highlighted the required measurement for each additive. Don't forget what I said. If you go beyond the measurement of a particular additive, your soap will have issues. So measurement is very important in soap making. Don't neglect measurement. So the next chemical we'll be looking into is called the caustic soda. Without caustic soda, it is impossible to produce a bar soap or tablet soap. So another name for caustic soda is called sodium hydroxide or lye, L-Y-E. Now, caustic soda, which is also called sodium hydroxide, is used for producing a tablet soap or a bar soap, while potassium hydroxide, which is another chemical entirely, is used for producing a liquid soap or a shower gel. Don't forget those differences. Soap making, we also use another ingredient or solvent called water. Here is the water. Another important ingredient in soap making is called water. Water is used for dissolving everything that is not in liquid form, and you can use the rainwater, the tap water, or distilled water. Any of them you have in your possession. And don't forget, water in soap making is used for dissolving every chemicals that are not in liquid form but in solid or powder form. Water is used for dissolving them. That's the purpose of water in soap making. So if you are using any additive in your soap production, always divide your water into two. Use half of it to dissolve your caustic soda, then use the other half to dissolve the additive you want to use. Like in this our soap making, the additive I want to use is sodium sulfate, which I highlighted in the beginning of this video. I showed you my sodium sulfate. That's why I have divided my water. I want to use half of it to dissolve my caustic soda and the other half to dissolve my sodium sulfate. That is how you dissolve additives in soap making. Don't bring in extra water. Too much of water in soap making will make your soap to be very soft. So it's good that you divide that already measured water. Use half of it to dissolve your additive and the other half to dissolve your caustic soda. So now I want to address false information about caustic soda. The number one false information is that you have to soak your caustic soda for many days or many weeks. And people say it's because they want their caustic soda to ferment. But you need to understand one thing. Caustic soda is a salt. That is why it is called sodium hydroxide. Caustic soda is a salt. And salt don't ferment. Sugar ferments, but salt don't ferment. So saying you are dissolving your caustic soda for many days for it to ferment is a very big and serious error in soap making. Salt don't ferment. If salt ferments, then the Atlantic Ocean would have fermented by now. So note that when you dissolve your caustic soda, what you should be aiming for is for the temperature to reduce, because naturally when you dissolve caustic soda in water, it becomes very hot. So you have to wait for that temperature or that heat to come down before you use it to make your soap. So if the heat comes down that very day, you can use your caustic soda that very day to make your soap. I hope you understand. So dissolving soda for many days is a false information. Saying that you want it to ferment is an error. You can dissolve caustic soda and use it that very day to make your soap. Just make sure that that temperature has cooled down. Caustic soda does not ferment. Only sugar ferments. Caustic soda is a salt, not a sugar. Only sugar ferments. Salt don't ferment. People most times say they are doing it so that their soap will not be harsh on the skin, but that is wrong. What makes a soap harsh on the skin is when you have added too much of caustic soda. You have exceeded the required measurement. and you added too much of caustic soda, you will end up producing a harsh soap, a soap that is harsh to the skin. So measurement is very important in soap making. If you want to learn more about measurement, you can do well by enrolling for my online class to be taught on how to take measurement in soap making. Now, another common mistake soap makers do when making soap is that they don't understand the concept behind oil or behind choosing oil in soap making. You don't just use any type of oil in soap making. Oils in soap making are categorized into two types. We have the soft oil and we have the hard oil. So I will list the examples of soft oils we have in soap making. We have the groundnut oil or peanut oil. We have olive oil, we have castor oil, we have canola oil, we have soybeans oil, we have sunflower oil and sunflower oil. There are many more that I have not listed here. Now, soft oil produces a soap that is not very hard. At the same time, a soft oil will not allow you to get to a thick trace quickly. It limits that thickness. That is the importance of soft oil. Now, using only soft oil will cause you to produce a soft soap. It's always good to mix your soft oil with a hard oil so that you can achieve a good soap that is not soft but hard. So the next type of oil we have in soap making is called the hard oil. Hard oils are oils that help you produce a hard soap, but most times using only hard oil will cause you to get to a thick trace. And when your batter or your soap mixture reaches a thick trace, it is very difficult to stir it and it's very difficult to work with such trace. Examples of hard oils are palm kernel oil, palm oil, coconut oil, shea butter, mango butter, tallow oil, and etc. and etc. There are many of them. So hard oils is a kind of oil that helps you produce a very hard soap, but most times using only hard oil will cause your soap batter or mixture to get to a thick trace quickly, which is very annoying to most soap makers. So if you want to learn more about oils and how to choose oils, you can do well by enrolling for my online class, which goes on WhatsApp. Another important criteria in soap making is the fragrance. Now, in soap making, especially the cold process type of soap, you can't just use any type of fragrances. You have to use fragrances that fall under the category of the top note. Fragrances that are very strong, because cold process soap does not allow the scent of your fragrance to stand out. So you have to use a fragrance that falls under the category called top note. So if you want to know more about fragrances, you can do well by enrolling for my online class to learn more about types of fragrances and the notes they fall under. I know you've been having issues producing soap and you don't perceive the good smell from it, but that's because you have been using the wrong fragrance for your soap production. Another ingredient used in soap making is the color. Now, in soap making, color are of two types. We have the oil soluble color and we have the water soluble color. If you purchased an oil soluble color, always dissolve it using oil. Using some part of your oil that you want to use and make your soap, use some part of that oil to dissolve your oil soluble color. If you are using water soluble color, use some part of your water that you want to use to dissolve your caustic soda to dissolve your water soluble color. That is just an important point about colors in soap making. So I want to believe that I have been able to address most of the problems soap makers out there have or encounter when making soap. There's a lot of error, a lot of misconception in soap making, and I hope this video has been able to address those problems and errors. Starting from the additives in soap making, which is the soda ash, the sodium sulfate, the STPP, the calcium, all those stuffs. If you use them in their wrong measurement, you will end up making a huge mistake in your soap production. So measurement is a very important factor in soap making. Caustic soda does not ferment. Note that point. Caustic soda does not ferment. Now, your oil should be properly chosen. Don't use any type of oil in soap making. Try to understand what type of oil is that and what property that oil has and which category that oil falls under, so that you not end up using a soft oil and end up producing a soft soap, and you'll be confused on what happened. At least you should understand each of your chemicals and what they do in your soap making. That is a very important factor in soap making. Always try to understand each of your chemicals and what they are doing, so that you will not be confused. So you will not encounter a problem and don't know how to solve it, or don't have a solution for that problem. That is one of the biggest problems a soap maker will have, when he or she encounters a problem and don't know the solution to that problem. Now, the purpose of this video is not to teach you how or give you a practical video on how to make soap. The purpose of this video was to address the common mistakes soap makers make when making soap. I hope I've been able to address those mistakes. If you have any thing you want to talk about, you can drop it in the comment section. Let's talk about it there. So thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, don't forget to like it, don't forget to purchase my ebook, don't forget to enroll for the online class, and don't forget to buy my soap equipment. I have soap molds for sale. Thank you for watching, and see you next time on our next video. I'm sure this video was very educative. You have learned a lot. You have learned about additives. You have learned about the measurement of additives. Don't make mistake. Any mistake in soap making will spoil your entire production. So you should be very, very careful when making soap. Don't make mistakes. If you want to learn more, if you want to become a pro, you can do well by enrolling for my online class. See you there, and goodbye.